Sahana Bhavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Mantra 3. In Mantra 2, the result of following the instructions of the Lord was described. Mantra 3 presents the effect of whimsical activities. So this is the classical way of Vedic presentation, is that first you present the rule, what is the standard, and then after this is established, then you explain the exceptions and different anomalies, what is not correct. So we see Isopanisad follows the same way of presentation. First, in the invocation, there is the explanation of what is reality, what is the truth. So we see that everything is perfect and complete. The Lord and His creation and the jivas which operate the creation, everything is perfect and complete. And then in the first mantra says the same thing as the invocation, but in practical terms. How do you apply this knowledge? If you know that everything is perfect, what do you do? And what you do is the Ishavasya way of thinking and acting. And if you follow this concept, then the result is described in Mantra 2. It's spiritual result. And if you don't follow, then the result is described in Mantra 3. Yes?
What does Ishavasya mean, really?
Ishavasya. Isha means the Lord. Vasya means... controlled. Isha by the Lord, Avasyam controlled. Idam, this Sarvam, all. Everything is controlled by the Lord. Actually, it's called Ishavasyam Upanishad sometimes. Or Ishopanishad. So we see also Nectar of Instructions follows the same way of presentation. First, the rule is established. You have to control your senses. Then if you don't control your senses, then this is second mantra, second verse. That actually is detrimental to your devotional service. It's classical way of presentation. Because when the rule is established first, then you think in the terms of the rule. This is the standard you accept, and then everything else is exception. And if it's the knowledge is presented the other way around, first the anomalies and the exceptions, and then the rule, then the exceptions sticks in the mind as the standard. And even if you understand that this is not proper, it will be more difficult to actually to understand and to apply this in life. Depending on whether they obey the order of the Lord or not, all human beings are designated as Suras and Asuras. Someone wants to read the quote? Lakshmi?
Human life is distinguished from animal life due to its heavy responsibilities. Those who are cognizant of these responsibilities and who work in that spirit are called suras, godly persons. And those who are neglectful of these responsibilities or who have no information of them are called asuras, demons. Throughout the universe, there are only these two types of human beings.
Thank you. Srila Prabhupada says here, human life is distinguished from animal life due to its heavy responsibilities. So those who accept those heavy responsibilities are called suras. To accept the heavy responsibilities means to follow God's order, God's rule. And those who don't accept are called asuras. So what are those heavy responsibilities?
Advancement in spiritual life?
Yes, basically.
Advancement in spiritual life.
Yeah, following the orders of Krishna means to advance. Because as we spoke before, the jiva goes through millions of species, and when it goes back to the human form of life, then his original intelligence is given back to him. And the purpose of this is that he can develop his relationship with Krishna. This is the whole purpose of having this intelligence. And if the jiva decides not to use his intelligence in this manner, but just to enhance sense gratification and harass other living beings, then actually he doesn't need to be technically in the human form of life, because the human form of life is not meant for this. It's meant for self-realization. That's why if he doesn't use it in prescribed manner, then he goes back to the animal form of life. So this is the difference between sura and asura. And as Prabhupada says in this quote, there are only two types of living entities, suras and asuras, in the whole universe, and what discriminates between them is if they follow the Ishavasi concept or not. So we see in nature, if men are not involved, because yes.
How to classify? Maybe I'm running ahead, but how to classify people who are partially following the Ishavasya principle, and you can understand some devotees may follow to certain point, but later will be rejected by them.
You mean someone follows Krishna consciousness and later rejects Krishna consciousness?
To some, not in time, but take one
some
part,
part,
but
yeah.
Other reject.
So they are devotees, but this part that they reject, in this part they have atheistic mentality. But yeah, some kind of contamination. But well, it depends what is predominant. I guess we can take them as devotees, but it's we all have more or less this demonic nature inside of us. Yes, Shodra Maharaj is explaining that conditioned soul means actually you want to kill Krishna. We are so envious that we want to kill God and take His place. And until this is not completely destroyed by prema, by love of God, then we still have some anarthas. And it is stated that until the stage of prema, there are still some subtle anarthas, even on the stage of bhava. Therefore, even from bhava you can fall down, although it's not common. This is the position of the jiva, of the Tasta Shakti, is that it is between the spiritual and the material, and there is always this contradictory processes going on. We have always to make choice between spiritual and material, and it goes on until prema, and then there is just this.
Is there any example of somebody who has fallen down from the platform of Bhava?
Yes, there is example of Bharat Maharaj in Bhagavatam. he was, you know the story. With the, yes.
Totally can't get anything here. No
Okay.
questions on how.
The question was, is there? Yes, thank you, Matish. The question was, is there any example of someone who has fallen from the platform of Bhava? And the example is the story of Bharata Maharaj from Bhagavatam. He was on that platform and he fell down. It was temporary falling down. It's just for one lifetime. Is answering your question? What was talking? Yeah, talking to you.
Also, I've heard the Purna Maharaj explain one of the senior devotees of our movement fell down from, and Maharaj analyzed that it was from Bandhava.
Yeah. Oh, there are many examples. I mean, I'm just talking about the obvious one that it's mentioned in scripture, but there's so many. Therefore, back to the previous point, in nature when we see that men are not involved, because we're talking that with a higher intelligence it comes higher responsibility and also higher expectations. Just like if you have someone who is very learned on Shastra, then when he gives lecture you expect that he has to give very good class, and if he just gives average class, then that means he's lazy. He's not using his abilities. He doesn't apply. In the same way, with high intelligence, it comes higher expectations. That's why Prabhupada says heavy responsibilities. And if someone doesn't use this, then properly, then he will get animal form of life. Because the animals, they actually follow perfectly the order of the Lord, although they don't do it voluntarily. But they're just so overwhelmed by the gunas that they follow exactly what is supposed to be done. And the humans, they can follow, but they could also choose not to follow. This is the difference between animal and humans. So we see in the nature when men are not involved, nature works perfectly. But when the men are involved somehow, then it depends. If they follow Krishna's rules, then it will work nicely. If they don't follow, there will be some problem in the nature, in the environment. So we see also this in the Shastra, the great demons in the past, like Hiranyaksha, Hiranyakashipu, they were extracting so much things from the riches from the planet Earth that it just fall down at one point from its orbit. When the demonic people are in charge, it creates havoc in the everywhere, in all levels, in the Adhyatmika, Adibhautika, Adidavika. So this is the sequence of not following the Ishavasya principle described here in Isopanisad. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Shri Krishna describes 4 different types of asuras who do not surrender to him and thus waste their human form of life. Those
miscreants who are grossly foolish, who are the lowest among mankind, whose knowledge is stolen by illusion, and who partake of atheistic nature of demons, do not surrender unto me.
Thank you. So these are, now we have here 4 types of persons who do not accept this concept from Ishavasya. And the first one are the grossly foolish. That means they are not aware that there are higher and subtle things in knowledge and in reality. They don't know, and they couldn't care less also. They're just happy as the things are working for them, and they don't want to improve their situation. They don't want to improve their understanding about the world. In Bhagavad Gita, in 18th chapter, there is a description of different types of knowledge. I mean, knowledge in different modes. So in the mode of goodness, knowledge means that you see the same spirit soul in all types of bodies around you. They're just the same type of spirit soul. It doesn't mean that it is one soul, because this will be a Mayavada. It's different individual living entities, but they have the same nature of parts and parcels of Krishna. So this is knowledge in mode of goodness. Then, if you see that there are different souls actually in different bodies, different types of souls, this is mode of passion. So we see some Christians, they have this idea that there are different souls. You have human soul, which is actually the only technically real soul. And then you have animal soul and plant soul, all kinds of weird souls. And this is understanding in the mode of passion. And then the knowledge by which you are attached to one work, only to one particular type of activities, as all in reality. And knowledge which is very meager and doesn't give you actually understanding about the truth. This is the knowledge in the mode of ignorance. It's still knowledge, but it's the lowest platform. So this type of people, the grossly foolish, the mudas, they have this type of knowledge. It's not very progressive. So generally we will take the mudas as the lowest. But because they're foolish, how bad they can be if they're foolish? They can be only that much bad. If you want to be really bad, you need some intelligence. That's why actually the lowest are those who they have intelligence, but they reject Krishna. They could understand the process of devotional service and how it works, but they still reject it. They're atheistic. Like, yeah, that's clear. Like you have the local guy who is troubling everybody in the neighborhood. But how much trouble he can make? But if he's smart enough to make a gang, then he can create so much more trouble. So if you want to be really bad, you have to have intelligence also. Everyone who does not accept Lord Shri Krishna must belong to one of the above mentioned 4 categories. Yes, please.
So our test is there. If one is not Krishna conscious, then he must be within these divisions. Naradama, Mudha, Duskritina, Mayaya, Pahita Jnana. One who is surrendered to Krishna, then what is he? Samahatma Sadurlabha. Samahatma Sadurlabha.
Thank you. So either one is Sura, that means he is Kanishta, Madhyama or Uttam, or if he's not, then he's one of these 4. So the grossly foolish, we already talked about this, the Mudas. Then the next one, the Naradama. These are generally more refined people, more sophisticated, and they usually come from a good background. They come from good families. And they come in contact with devotional service, but they reject it. So that's why they are the lowest. They are lower than the Mudas. Yes?
Was that the Naradama?
Yeah, Naradama. Naradama means literally the lowest of mankind. So some of these people are very high in the society. They are what we call professional people, the professionals. And sometimes the devotees, they look at them and they are wondering how did they get there? How did they get so much facilities and they look so sophisticated, so nice, so intelligent? The reason why they are there is that before, in the previous lifetime, previous lifetimes, they did some devotional service, usually Agyata Sukriti, and that's why they got these facilities. Srila Prabhupada explains in Bhagavatam, he gives the example of Columbus, who discovered America. And in the purport he says, because in the previous life he did some devotional service, in this lifetime Krishna has given him opportunity to take the credit of discovering this continent and to enjoy the result of this, only because he has done some devotional service.
Where was that mentioned?
Bhagavatam, I think 6th canto. I have to check. So, yes.
Naradhama can be also related to, because he's Nara, he's following Varnashrama, but not with relation to culture, to Krishna.
Could be. Because we have Asuric Varnashrama and Daivi Varnashrama, and the only difference is that one is connected to Krishna and the other one is not. Yes, could be. So the only way to get any good result is by devotional service. It's not by. It's not because they read the book of the 7 habits of the. Yes. No, they already have those and they practice those. They apply those in life. That's why they're successful. And those who are not so intelligent, they just read the book, and it gives them some good feelings. But that's all. They don't do it. They don't apply it. Not that they can, they could, but they just don't do it. And those people, because of the credit that they have from bhakti, they're able to apply this in life and to get the result. So Gita explains those who are perform some spiritual practice in their previous life, they got little advanced. They take birth in a family of rich people or aristocratic people. So these are those guys. And if the yogi did some serious advancement, then he's born in a family of devotees, which is a higher position, and it's more rare than just to get birth in a rich family. So if this kind of people, if they come in contact with devotional service and they reject it, then they become Naradama. That's why the preachers must be very careful how do we present Krishna consciousness, not to turn people into this. Okay. So back to the same point, to the previous point, that if you have more facilities, that means more responsibility. This is the reason why when we compare the impersonalists with the yogis, the impersonalists who merge with Brahman and the yogis who merge themselves with Brahman, who are the lower? Who is the lower? The impersonalist and the yogis. What the Acharyas explain is that the yogis are lower because they see the Lord, they see that the Lord has a form, and still they reject this form and they want just to merge with Him. And the impersonalists, they might not know, and if they would know, they might have changed their mind. But the yogis, they know, and they still are determined. I'm not going to serve the Lord. I want to become myself the Lord. And then we have Mayapakrita Jnana, the next category. They are clever, intelligent people, but they have no faith in Krishna, and they cannot see anything in this world connected to Krishna. The Mahabhagavata devotees, we'll see later in Isopanisad, they see everything in connection with the Lord. And the Mayapakrita Jnanas, they cannot see anything connected to the Lord, just the opposite. And although they are very intelligent, they apply their intelligence in the lowest levels, like Annamaya. They just think that by connecting the senses with the sense objects, this will make people happy, and they work on this field, just providing more facilities. And this is their philosophy, but they also base their method of knowledge on the same thing. Is that I think, I come up with some idea, then I make an experiment, I see with my senses. If it works, then it's knowledge, it's truth, and if not, then it's not. And then Asuram Bhava. These are the people who actually run the whole scene in the material world. They are administrators, but they have demonic mentality. So those are the 4 types, people who do not follow the Ishavasya concept. Although the atheists work very hard to achieve their selfish goals, they are never successful, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 16:23. He who discards spiritual injunctions and acts according to his own whims attains neither perfection, nor happiness, nor the supreme destination. On the other hand, even though a devotee might not be accomplished in his practice, he is assured of success because he is protected by the Lord, as it is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. It is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita in 6th chapter, these verses. Also in other places, in 9th chapter, I think, Krishna says, Yogakshema Vahamyaham, I keep whatever you have. I'll protect this so that you don't lose it. And whatever you're lacking, I'll just give to you, provide. So it's a very, very nice. It's like Krishna in Bhagavatam, he goes to see his devotees in Mathura, I think. Yeah, in Mathura. And he gives them blessings. While in this world, in this body, you will have perfect life of sense gratification. You have everything that you want. And you won't forget me. It will be all connected with me. And in the end of this life, you will go back home to God forever. So it's something like this. I'll keep what you have, and I'll give you what you're lacking. So we are finishing now this first group of mantras of Isopanisad. The invocation and the mantras 1 to 3. So they establish that God and His creation are perfect and complete. And part of this completeness and perfectness is that the jiva has all the abilities, all the facilities in order to attain perfection. And we have exactly what we need. We don't need anything more. And this is called in the Isopanisad the allotted quota of everybody. So this allotted quota has to be used in connection with Krishna and for His pleasure, and then the result will be spiritual, mantra 2, or if we don't use it in this way, the result will be material, mantra 3. The Ishavasya concept means that God is the proprietor of everything, and we are His servants. And just like if you're a servant of the king, you live in the palace, not exactly in the king's quarters, but you live in the palace. So you as long as you remain the servant, you can actually enjoy the palace. You can enjoy all the facilities, almost all. But as soon as you claim that you're the master, then you're kicked out. You're thrown out of the palace. You cannot enjoy anymore. Because we have so deeply rooted this idea in our consciousness that if I want to enjoy something, I have to claim that I'm its owner. This is karma. The idea of karma. I have something, I control it, and I enjoy it. Or the other idea is that is very deeply rooted. I don't have it, I don't enjoy it. This is jnana. And Buddhi Yoga or Naishkarmya or Ishavasya or Bhakti, this is the same thing, the same principle. Means the proprietor is someone else. It is a property of Krishna. I accept this, and only then I can actually enjoy. And that's why it's a little difficult to understand this, because it is something beyond karma and jnana. This is our general way of thinking. Enjoy or renounce. Boga tyaga. Icha Dvesha. That's why it's difficult. Yes.
So the concept of enjoying stems from the concept of owning. So it is enough to address the concept of owning to destroy the conception of enjoying. Correct?
At least it will be the first step.
But Shavasana just mentions the ownership.
Yeah. He's the owner, but also he's the enjoyer. It's not just that he's the owner, Krishna, and he has given us all this to enjoy, separated from him. Because this is also erroneous in the idea from the religious people. So Krishna is the owner and he's the enjoyer, and we are just assisting in his enjoyment, and only then we can actually enjoy. Because this is our natural position. We cannot just enjoy. We think we can. Yes. So, there is interesting statement in the mantra 2, the purport. I would like someone to read this. Mantra 2, the last paragraph.
Very last.
Very last.
How one can execute God-centered activities is elaborately explained in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu by Srila Rupa Goswami. We have rendered this book into English as the Nectar of Devotion. We recommend this valuable book to all who are interested in performing their activities in the spirit of Sri Isopanisad.
Thank you. So Isopanisad establishes the main principle, Ishavasya. Sorry. But it is short. It is 18 mantras, and there is not much space to explain the details of the application of this principle. So therefore, in Bhagavad Gita, we have the same principle. There it is called Naishkarmya, but it is the same principle. In Bhagavad Gita, this Ishavasya or Naishkarmya is explained in more details from different angles. It is explained how it applies for the Jnanis, for the Karmis, for the Ashtanga Yogis, and for the devotees also. And at the end of Gita, Krishna explains the highest, Krishna gives actually the highest level of Naishkarmya when he says, or Ishavasya, when he says, Sarva Dharman Parityaja Mamekam Sharanam. This is the highest level of Ishavasya consciousness. But it is the same principle. And then, the same Ishavasya concept is explained in Nectar of Devotion and Nectar of Instruction, how it applies specifically for the devotee, specifically in our line, in our sampradaya. But it is the same principle, just different level of explanation. So we start with the Upanishad, which is considered as the philosophical part of the Vedas, and the language is very esoteric, and hidden meanings are given, and so many things. The language of the rishis, etc. And then we end up with the Gopi Bhav, the Manjari Bhav in Nectar of Devotion, and then in the later books, Ujjvala Nilamani, Rupa Goswami. But it explains the same principle. Just like the different rasas, they always include servitorship inside. When we start with Dasya, then there is service inside. Then we go to the next Sakya, then this service expands. Because the friends of Krishna, they offer more types of service, more intimate service. So the service actually, it stays and even expands. Then we go to the next Vatsalya, there it's even more service, on more levels. And then Madhurya, the gopis surrender everything to Krishna, even their bodies, they surrender to him. In this sense. But it's the same thing goes, service goes in all these rasas, so it's the same principle. And also we know that the process of bhakti starts with Shraddha, and it goes till Prema. And it is said that the Prema is just solidified Shraddha. When Shraddha becomes perfect, then it's Prema. So again, the same principle. The principle doesn't change. It's explained in the very beginning of the studies. It just goes to different application, different levels. So, in these first 4 mantras, invocation in the first 3 mantras, they explain, Isopanisad, they explain actually the basic principle of all Vedic scriptures, which is Ishavasya. So that's why they are very important. They explain how, in the invocation mantra, how everything is perfect, and in this way, the Supreme Brahman, he is perfect, and everything that emanates from him is also perfect and complete. This establishes the field, which is perfect. Then, mantra 1 explains how Krishna as Paramatma enters into this field and how he operates the field according to the desires of the jiva. What is the principle behind this operation? It's the Ishavasya principle. It's operated like this. This is Abhideya. And then, if the jivas follow this concept, then they'll come in contact with the Bhagavan. And this is described in the last section from 15 to 18 of Isopanisad. And this is should be the prayojana and the ultimate result. So everything is actually described in these 4 mantras. That's why they're so important. Our studies on Isopanisad will be later will be based on these 4 mantras, and moreover, the whole Shastra Chaksha seminar is based on this also.
Later studies, is that the thematic study?
The thematic study also, but even the chronological study is also based on this Ishavasya concept. It's just called in different names. It's called Naish Karma Yoga and Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, but the same principle. Ishavasya.
Sorry for fault finding, but there is another division of Sambandha Abhidaya Prajana in the beginning of our study guide.
Yeah.
How does it relate to?
You mean in the beginning of the study guide there is, it's just taken from different angle. Here we're talking just first 4 mantras, how they are, yes, how they can be explained according to Sambandha Abhidaya Prajana. But you can explain it so many different ways also. If you take, for example, the Isopanisad as a whole, you can explain it. You can use different way of explaining Sambandha Abhidaya Prajana. But if you take just these 4 mantras, you can work it out in different way, and also from different angles. Okay, so we'll end up here if there is no question. Continue tomorrow with mantras 4 and 5. So please read those, the purports, the study guide, and try to make the connection between the book and the study guide. And we are almost ready with your essay questions, so you'll get this soon also. Om Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shri Prabhupada ki jai.